Hi, I'm the Night Pilgrim, and today I'm going to talk about how I made the Vampire's Ball.
Don't get too close, we'll dance with the devil.
If you haven't seen the music video yet, maybe go see that first before watching this breakdown. The main idea behind this song is about being ostracized from social groups. There's been a few times in my life where people have shunned me or been even aggressive towards me because they've discovered my political opinion is different from theirs, or my ethnicity even is different from theirs. I'm sure a lot of you can relate with this. It kind of ties together with this outrage culture phenomenon we see in social media these days, where people try to group together and attack this person or entity that they view as evil for not being the same as them or for not sharing the same opinion as them. It's almost like being stuck in a room of vampires waiting to eat you alive. So with this song, I wanted to tell a story of being stuck in a room full of vicious creatures who eventually find out that you aren't one of them and are just dying at the opportunity to destroy you for it. Every line of the lyrics can be interpreted either literally or metaphorically, and it both works. I recorded the song over a few days at Rogue Studios, which is based in London, with my producer Alicio. Alicio is the man. What a guy.
What a guy. Best producer I've ever met.
I wrote all the parts of the song. I also performed all the instruments in the song. So that's vocals, guitars, bass, drums, piano, so on and so forth. When I was writing the song, I wanted to have a key word to kind of describe the vibe of it, and also a color so that it can help me when I'm making my music video to have a coherent kind of identity. So the color I chose was red, because vampires, blood. The word that I was going for is dance. It's a vampire's ball. People are going to be dancing. So the vibe I was aiming for is fun and danceable, but with a little bit of darkness to it. Sort of like Ghost. I f***ing love that band. Leave a comment below if you like Ghost as well. The piano intro and the riff were actually inspired by the soundtrack of my favorite anime, which is called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I bet you weren't expecting that connection. I love the way the soundtrack in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure feels so sophisticated, but then accessible and fun at the same time. So I try to incorporate that a little bit into the song. Let's talk about the guitar solo, because it's one of my favorite parts of the song. Usually when I write something, I go, this is shit. I hate it. But the guitar solo in particular, I'm quite proud of. And Marty Friedman is one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to playing guitar. If you don't know who he is, he used to be the lead guitarist of Megadeth, just a little band called Megadeth. It's really easy as a guitar player when you're writing a solo to go a bit too far and shred or be too technical, which is great for you, it's fun for the player, but doesn't sound so good for someone listening. And what I was trying to make with a solo was something that was melodic, that was also somewhat technical, but also kept that dancey tone that is in the rest of the song. So remember that keyword dance, yeah, that was my North Star. Even when writing the solo, it needs to fit with that concept. Same goes for the breakdown. It's really easy to write a breakdown as heavy as possible by tuning low and going as slow as possible. But for this song, because it needs to be still danceable even through the breakdown, I incorporated that reggaeton beat into the notes. Keep it bouncy, keep it fun, while still heavy. And it still carries the tone of the song, but also symbolizes that some shit's going down in the story. Let's talk about the music video. So the music video was directed and produced and edited by me with a very small crew of about 3 people. Whenever I'm creating a music video, I always start with a mood board just to know what kind of shots I want to get, what kind of venues we need to go after, and the general vibe of the video. And this is where choosing that color initially, which is red for the song, is really important because it kind of informs my decisions I'm going to make about what shots I want to achieve. The cast for the music video and the dinner scene were actually my friends, and none of them were professional actors, which is so impressive because I love the performances in the video. Although most of them are performers of some sort. So some are dancers, some are musicians, which I think helped out a lot. One of the most challenging things about that dinner scene was that we shot it during one of the heat waves. We're based in the UK, and if you're in the UK, how hot they can get. So we were in this blackout room with all these lights, these candles burning, with 10 people in the room for 5 hours. Shit gets hot. So we had to rent an air conditioning unit just to cool things down a little bit. You don't want the heat to be affecting our performers, but also this one key detail with vampires is that they're not supposed to sweat. So we have to keep wiping the sweat off of everyone's forehead just to kind of keep the immersion. There's one particular shot that I love, which is with Ellie here, and she's got her molded vampire teeth. She made it custom and it looks awesome. That's why we have a close-up of it. And in this scene, I was directing her to kind of bare her teeth like you're gonna be eating into someone. And for some reason, her lip couldn't stop twitching. I guess when you have cameras on you and lights and everyone's looking at you, you kind of feel a little bit of pressure and your lip starts twitching involuntarily. But actually, after a take, I looked at it and went, yeah, that works better. It actually looks really good. It looks like she actually wants to devour me. Happy accidents in filmmaking. That's what's fun about it. I had to do a lot of research into blood, fake blood. I think we had 4 types of fake blood. So the blood in the bowls or something that we can make in bulk, and that was just tomato soup with a little added red food coloring just to give it a bit more vibrance to the color. We also had honey mixed with red food coloring, and that was for any shots where people had to eat the blood. And we use honey because it has a thicker viscosity than water, so it looks more like blood basically when it's flowing on screen. For this shot over here where they have to put blood all over my shirt, we use that tomato soup but also mixed with detergent because otherwise it's going to stain my shirt forever. So we made sure that that was kept aside and not put into anyone's bowl by accident because we don't want anyone eating detergent. And for this shot over here, because Ellie's vegan, we can't use tomato soup, that's not vegan, or honey, which is also not vegan. So we actually use Heinz beans. Yeah, Heinz beans, which is the most British thing you could do. But we put it all over her face, and actually it showed up really well on camera because the lights are all red. If you put a red liquid on yourself, it doesn't show up that well under the red light. So the Heinz beans was more brownish and that just shows up darker and it looks better. And lastly, we had beetroot juice for the wine glasses to get that bubbly, thick consistency. Using real wine doesn't really have a thick enough consistency, and also people are gonna get drunk on set, so obviously a no-go. Super happy with the scene. I thought all the actors did such a phenomenal job, especially considering they don't have any professional acting experience. One of my favorite shots as well in this music video is when the light changes to signify something's about to go down. And for that, we just had 2 guys on each switch, one dialing it down, one dialing it up slowly, so we get that nice fade in. It was quite challenging because we only had 5 hours to shoot in that venue. It was just a blackout room, and we had to set up the entire dinner table. We had to prepare all the blood and get all the shots in that 5 hours, and also tear down everything and pack up. So it was quite hard to fit all of that into 5 hours, but we managed to do it. And considering it was a heat wave, it was hot, they had to drink disgusting beetroot juice and cold tomato soup. You know, absolute respect, so thanks guys. Let's talk about the dance scene in the church. So the 2 tango dancers in the video are called Paddy and Tej. I met them at this random bar I was performing at a few years ago, and they're such great tango dancers, salsa dancers. They do a bunch of different styles, and they're actually professional dancers, and it really shows on camera. I think they came very prepared, and I think it looks phenomenal as a result. And what's crazy is that we shot that dance scene just a week after the dinner scene, and there was another heat wave that day. So you can imagine this church was sweltering hot. It felt like hell, which is funny because it's in a church. Can I say that? I'm gonna get no Christian fans. And you can imagine Paddy and Tej, they had to dance take after take in this heat wave in this church in their outfits.
Any other human being to wipe the sweat on my brow.
So thank you so much for both of you for just enduring that pain. And what I realized from the shoot is that churches are really expensive to rent. We shot this one at St. Luke's Church in Hampstead, which is in London, UK, and we only had 3 hours to shoot everything. So it was very, very tight. We had to be very efficient. When we're doing these kind of low budget shoots where we don't have much time at the venue, we don't have much time to shoot, it's really important to have enough planning time beforehand, to plan the logistics ahead of time, to plan what you're gonna do, have a shot list and follow the shot list, as closely as possible. You're not trying to wing anything during the shoot. I was mainly behind the camera for this dance scene. I had the gimbal, and this church was so fucking hot that after the second take, I just went up to Paddy and Tej and said, guys, this is super unprofessional, but can I take my shirt off because I'm melting? Why do I even run like that? It was just so hot. For the scenes where we have just the red light, we use a C-stand with a softbox mounted on top with the RGB light and just turn the light to pure red. Easy as that. And I think it really fits the mood of that part of the song. The whole music video cost maybe £1,200, which isn't much at all considering how many elements we included in this video. This video was really challenging to make because we only had a crew of about 3 people, and I was directing it while acting in it, and also fixing the lighting in between scenes by acting as a director of photography, and also making sure all the cast members are fed and hydrated. And then of course is the editing and the color grading after. All with a super low budget and very limited time, obviously. But that's just part of being an independent artist, I suppose, and it's so worth it when you see the product at the end. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got another track coming very, very soon, so stay tuned. If you want to support me, feel free to like this video and follow or subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.